And all of a sudden, people are lining the streets asking Donald Trump Jr. for pictures, and they have MAGA hats. We then went to a restaurant, and we were literally so consumed by people, so overwhelmed, we had to go get a private room, and then we brought some of the local folks in.
My favorite thing, I'm gonna share my screen, but like, busted according to our friends over at the Midas Touch Network. Trump's Greenland supporters were allegedly homeless and socially disadvantaged people bribed with hotel dinners.
Okay, so which one is it? I need to know. Do the people of Greenland embrace MAGA? Do they want the United States to take over their country? Or is this all smoke and mirrors? What is really going on here? Well, believe it or not, Fox News, of all media outlets, might be providing us some clarity on this issue. They might be the ones that get to the bottom of this. Now, as we all know, Donald Trump has floated the idea of the United States taking over Greenland. In interviews, he did not rule out economic pressure or military pressure, although I highly doubt he's going to use the military to take over Greenland. That would be insane. But nonetheless, let's see how Fox covered this story.
What are Greenlanders telling you, Alex?
Hi, John. Well, yes, this is Nuuk, Greenland, the capital, and it has caused quite a stir after President-elect Trump's comments about wanting to buy this Danish territory. So a lot of mixed reaction. We spoke with one man who is an avid Trump supporter. He has been trying to convince others that a partnership between Greenland and US just makes sense.
Yeah, we are the front door to the US. We are the American continental. And that's why we are the first people who will be affected by Russia if someone wants to come here.
Okay, all right. So Fox found one person, that's great. Anyone else? Let's look.
Greenland is 3 times the size of Texas. It's also home to roughly 57,000 people. Most other Greenlanders we spoke with quickly bashed Trump's comments, calling them offensive.
Me personally, I want to stick with Danish government. I would prefer to have to be with Denmark and not with the US.
The United States used to be a place that was sort of admired here. And basically all the goodwill that they used to have is almost gone now.
Okay, that kind of conflicts with what we're hearing from people like Charlie Kirk, others in the MAGA circle. In fact, why don't we take a look at what Charlie Kirk was saying just last week?
Talking to the locals and getting to know them, they can't stand their current Danish masters. They believe that Denmark, who is currently controlling of Greenland and of Nuuk, which is the largest city in Greenland, they are being mistreated. They do not like the status quo, and they want a change. A young boy comes up, he says, Charlie. I said, oh, hey, how are you? He said, I follow you on TikTok. I need to show you something. He shows me his phone. He says, in my village, 3 hours from here, when we just kind of go out into the countryside, we find rubies the size of baseballs. And he says, the Danes don't let us mine our rubies, our gold, our lithium, or our gas. He said, it's time for a rebellion against the Danes.
Lithium mining, huh? That wouldn't be something that the United States is interested in doing. Anyway, it looks like Fox News has accidentally lent some validity to a report from the Midas Touch that alleges that, yeah, the people of Greenland are not into this idea of the United States taking over this Danish territory, right? And so it is a Danish territory, although it has autonomous governance by the people of Greenland. And get a load of this. Danish public media organization DR News reports that many of the Trump supporters pictured dining with the president-elect's son, because remember, Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk went to Greenland on an unofficial trip, were unhoused and socially disadvantaged people asked to wear MAGA merch and offered a free dinner at Hotel Hans Edge in the town of Nuuk. Now, all they have to do is put on a cap and be in the Trump staff's videos. It is deeply distasteful. says one of the residents. Now, according to Pipaluk Lynch, who's a politician from Greenland's largest party and chair of the Parliamentary Foreign and Security Policy, when Trump's, when they showed up to Greenland, basically people were curious, but some took pictures giving him the finger at the airport. Some wrote on Facebook, "Yankee, go home." That's not nice. I mean, you could tell him to go home, but anyway. Yeah. One more comment. So, but also stated no journalists were allowed to interview him. It was all staged to make it seem like we, the Greenlandic people, were MAGA and love to be part of the United States. We know how they treat the Inuit in Alaska. Make that great before trying to invade us.
Yeah, make so many of the struggling states here, even just in the continental United States, great before that. The whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. I love that last quote that you gave from the previous person, like, "You don't tell me to go back to my country, I tell you to go back to your country." The whole thing is just the most obvious propaganda. So of course, Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk are in charge of it. They asked for some supporters. They pretended that they're interested in this because neither of them are remotely interested in any of this, whether Greenland actually wants to be colonized by America or absorbed and have their resources stolen. They don't care. It's just a mission. It's to troll or distract the MAGA people from the fact that the true agenda is transferring their wealth once again to the rich through tax cuts. And the way that you distract them is Panama and Canada and Greenland or whatever, and that way the peasants won't see what your actual agenda is. And it reminds me, by the way, of how the whole Trump thing started, where when he came down that escalator, he came down to a crowd that was filled with a lot of people who'd been paid to be there. They were actors. Now, eventually he generated an actual following, but when they don't have the actual following, their go-to is we just fake it with actors, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I have a little bit of, generally I agree, but I have a little bit of a different perspective on Greenland and also the Panama Canal. Like the Panama Canal is important for trade, but I think when it comes to Greenland, I think Elon Musk is very much influential in what we're hearing from Donald Trump, because Elon Musk is interested in lithium mining. There's no question about that. And Trump himself is on the record talking about the natural resources that he wants the United States to benefit from that are currently located in Greenland. And isn't there, because of climate change and the melting of permafrost, isn't there access to like precious minerals or things like that that Trump has been eyeing? I could be wrong about that, but
I don't know in particular about the minerals there. I know trade routes and stuff like that. It's possible that that's why he's bringing it up again. He did talk in his first term about conquering Greenland or whatever. I think there's a variety of reasons. I think it's a useful distraction. I also think a lot of his base, like they've gotten high on this myth of like America, once again being what they believe it was at one point, and the idea that we're gonna conquer territory, like we're gonna become larger, is appealing on like a primate level. Like our empire is gonna expand its borders or whatever. And I think for Trump, it's also useful to be able to be like, it's kind of like the corporation thing. We're gonna take over Greenland to protect America from Russia. Yeah, I'm standing up to Russia by taking this territory. I think that's also convenient for him, and convenient, by the way, for Russia, which has been happy about this development, because the thing they want the most in the world is for world powers to be like, no, we just conquer places now. Let's normalize that. Let's go back to the period when you want the resources of a region, you just take it over, because we can do that with Greenland, and then Russia can do that with a whole bunch of former Soviet republics. And now we'll have no ground to stand on when critiquing them for their invasions anymore, because we'll be doing the same thing.
I mean, John, we haven't had ground to stand on ever.
No, not really, but we'll have less ground.
All right, fair.
Like with the permafrost melting, it'll be muddy ground at best.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think the US is gonna take over Greenland, and I really don't think that we're gonna utilize our military to do so. So that's my take.